and the gate is down. Tomac looking for the hole shot here. He pushes Baggett wide, and Tomac's got it exactly where he wants it. Up front with your Motosport.com hole shot award, and believe it or not, that is the first hole shot of the year for Tomac in the 23rd moto of the season.
Oh, I believe it. That's been Tomac's Achilles heel, has always been being behind from the get-go. See, Herlings, good start for him. He got around already going after Tomac. Wow, up the inside and still launches it.
Whoa, has anyone jumped that thing from the inside? So Herlings, just like he was in practice, crazy speed here. They call him the Bullet, and you're going to find out exactly why as he takes the lead from Tomac. Is that Musquin? Yes, Musquin comes in right behind Baggett in fourth.
So at least we got all the players up near the front. So this should be fun to watch. I'm just curious if Herlings is going to run away with this. Tomac's like, no. I don't like being passed, especially on the opening lap. So he's going to come right back at Herlings. Different lines there. Herlings makes that inside work. Now Tomac crosses over. Same thing for these guys. The track's changed up a fair bit from practice and qualifying earlier. Some of those ruts are not in the same spot they were originally. They've been pushed out or reformed, or there's a whole new line.
It's the battle everybody wanted to see. Herlings coming over, taking out points leader in this 450 division. Tomac, he's on the Monster Kawasaki. Herlings riding for Red Bull KTM, their World Championship GT team. Actually, that's Trey Kennard's bike that he's had to borrow for the weekend here, now that he's in the U.S. Baggett in third, Musquin fourth, Seely is fifth as they come down this new boulevard section we've been calling it.
Musquin just scrubbed that jump on the inside of Baggett there for third. Not sure if he got that done. You can see that in the background. But still relatively tight. You can tell Herlings has that pace. Tomac trying to go with him. That's already given a slight little gap between third and fourth. But Musquin knows. He can see his championship rival in front of him. And that's not what he wants to see. For Baggett and for Musquin, you don't want that number 3 in front of you. You wanted him, you got to get around. That's the first order of business.
Well, yeah, because the points lead 28 over Baggett and 30 over Musquin. If Tomac beats those two riders in this moto, the championship is his as soon as this moto is complete. They've got to get the points lead under 25 by the time this moto is over. And the only way to do it is they have to beat Tomac, really both do, to keep their title hopes alive. Right now, Baggett has his hands full to 14. Honda HRC machine, Cole Seely, has been rallying late in the season. He is fifth, and he's putting the heat on Baggett.
Seely also going to be representing the USA at Motocross Nations in Matley Basin, England, next month. So he wants to prove to people, hey, I am totally worthy of being on the team. And you said it, he's gotten stronger and stronger. He's talked about it in his past interviews, saying, hey, he even gave us a hard time saying, you guys always are hard on me about not being an outdoor guy. And he's like, but I'm working hard at it. And he has. You can tell he has worked at it. And it's the little things that are coming around that just makes the difference.
Watching this battle right now between two title contenders, Musquin and Baggett. It's closest race on the track right now. It's Seely right behind him. Third, fourth, fifth. Herlings 1.1 seconds up on Tomac, who is second. Then behind this group, you've got Pike 6th, Webb 7th, Barsha 8th, Craig, Benny Bloss, and Noren. That's top 11 here. About 4 minutes into the moto. Tomac is right back, trying to challenge Herlings to the lead, and that's exactly what he didn't want to have happen. He challenged Herlings, he crashed, and the two riders he could not afford to let beat him in this moto have gotten by.
I kid you not, I was just about to say, Tomac, I know you want to go prove to everyone that you can beat Herlings, but that's not the battle you really want to get into right now, because you don't want to ride over your head. He looked like he was pushing, and I was just about to say, you don't want to don't let your ego get in the way and cost you a championship. That's easier said than done, because as a racer, we all have egos.
Yep, absolutely. So this is a huge shakeup. If all Tomac had to do was stay in front of Musquin and Baggett to wrap up the title in this moto, now there might be just enough gap for them to stave off the championship celebration. But worse than that, Tomac's bike's a little bit bent up. Clutch lever appears to be down. He's trying to push that back where he wants it. Oh, that could have been disastrous. And here comes Cooper Webb trying to make moves as Tomac is trying to straighten the bike while staying at race pace. Wow. Well, I don't think there was some talk, hey, did Herlings come over here to help Musquin? I thought that was ridiculous since Musquin's down 30 points. But that is one way he could have apparently stepped into the title race. Tomac wanted to go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was Obviously, Tomac can't blame anyone for that one. He was going for it.
Yep.
He landed a little wide there. He was committed to rail that outside. He wanted to go get Herlings right there and then. Land a little right on the outside, but he also landed on the front brakes, and you watch the front tucks.
He is still working that clutch lever, trying to do it over that Godzilla jump. Let's take you through the crash again.
Yeah, watch. He commits. He goes all the way to the outside. Now watch, as he lands, he's already landed over. He's on the brakes in that soft stuff. The front end tucks, and then it sort of knifes. A bit of a high side kind of throws you over the front. Not a hard crash, but you could tell that left-hand side of the bike, you know, took the brunt of the fall. That's what bent that clutch lever down.
So Tomac is 6th, trying to get around Pike. Well, he holds off Craig and Webb, who are battling right behind him. Craig has made the move on Webb. You can see him on the red Honda 48. Tomac, does he have the move made on Pike? Yes. So that will put him into 6th. It is going to be awfully tight as far as the championship is concerned. Baggett has to gain, I believe, 4 points on Tomac in this moto. I think Tomac might still be able to wrap it if he stays right here. Let's go to Georgia with more on what the day has been like for the Kawasaki folks.
Yes, I caught up with them earlier, and they actually said that Eli Tomac today seemed in a better mood than normal even. He was excited, he was happy. He's changed a lot over the last couple of years being with Kawasaki. He's got more used to the bike, his personality has grown up, and he's changed a lot. And since Budds Creek, the first moto did not go that well for him. The second moto, he won, and that's when the team said, Eli Tomac is back. This week during practicing, he was back to Eli Tomac, and he's just been really strong. So this is an unfortunate mistake, but I would not put it past Eli Tomac to be able to come through the pack.
Well, he's going to have to, because every point might count here. Yes, he obviously has the entire second moto to finish this off, but I'm sure he'd much rather get this thing wrapped up early. Look at the charge back here. It is Benny Bloss who's putting the hammer down, trying to get all 3 of these riders, Pike, Craig, and Webb, who are battling behind Tomac. And Bloss is the fastest out of that group right now. In fact, I think, yes, he already made the move on Craig. These guys are going at it.
Wow, good for him. Benny Bloss coming off injury and basically reintroduced himself back to the series a couple races ago, but he has gone from strength to strength, and a nice pleasant surprise, and just another guy we can throw in the mix to really make this racing entertaining.
This whole other group of the 450 class has been putting on some great battles the last couple of weeks, and they're at it again. We saw Webb and Pike battling each other quite a bit last week at Budds Creek, and now Bloss is in on it. Craig is right there. Look at Bloss. He wants to make another pass. That's that orange Rocky Mountain 8-to-DMC NFAB KTM trying to get Pike. Pike's on the Autotrader.com Monster Joe Gibbs Racing Suzuki. Webb ahead of him on the Monster Yamaluke Chaparral Yamaha. And Craig on the factory HRC Honda. Good racing between this group. At one point, Webb was at the head of this pack. Then they passed him, then he's got a couple of them back. See what Bloss can do at Pike. Meanwhile, Herlings has a 3.2-second lead on Musquin. Baggett is 3rd. Seeley 4th. Tomac 5th. Let's see if Tomac can get it back on rails here. He could pass Seeley. That would be big. To start busting the calculators out here to see if he can still have a 25-point gap over Musquin and Baggett when it's over. If that's the case, he's your champion. If not, you've got to take it to the final moto.
Well, if it's 25 points, he wouldn't be officially the champion, because I think if Musquin won the day anyway, he would have more overall wins.
Okay, yeah, good point.
So even if it's a tie, it goes on who has more race wins or moto wins. People go, well, what if they had the equal amount? Then you go, then it goes to seconds and thirds. Eventually, there's going to be a separation where, but hopefully we never see a championship decided on a tiebreaker.
Yeah, I think it's seconds, thirds, and then actually we'll eventually go into just better result in the last race if they can't break that tie. So it has all sorts of shaken up here in Indiana. Jeffrey Herlings in the lead. Eli Tomac trying to run with him. He makes one mistake, and it has put the championship now dangling. Tomac goes down to the outside. That could have been the end right there. He's able to get back up. He's in 5th, but his championship rivals are now in. First 450 moto coverage here. You can watch it on MAV TV or go to ProMotocross.com. It's still not too late to sign up for NBC Sports Gold. You can watch all the action. Archives are on there, the only place to get archived motos, and of course some of our second motos live. Great racing out here. Benny Bloss and Christian Craig going at it. Meanwhile, the Suzuki of Justin Barsha on the 51 has sliced through this pack. He's gotten through Bloss and Craig, who are in midair together over Godzilla. There is Barsha on the 51. Barsha not a great start, returning to action after a huge crash. couple of weeks ago at Washougal, and now he's trying to go after his teammate Weston Pike. The big uphill triple coming up next. And Barsha keeps closing up Pike.
Yeah, Barsha seems to be the one on the move out of this group at the moment. Good ride there for Craig as well. Bloss was all over the back of Pike, and it seemed like he was getting a little frustrated there. Now he's actually been passed by 2 other riders. So Benny Bloss went from trying to make a pass to losing a couple.
That's how fast and furious his action has been with this group. As you look at 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th right now. And then just ahead is Cooper Webb in 6th. Up front, Herlings' lead has gone from 3.5 seconds to 2.5. So Musquin is furiously charging. He knows what he's got to do. He's got to score maximum points, and you do that by winning the Moto. Baggett is safe in 3rd. Seeley 4th. Tomac 5th after a crash. Webb and then this group back to the leaders. Jeffrey Herlings, the Flying Dutchman, up front, and his teammate for the weekend is Marvin Musquin. They're actually teammates back in the day in Europe when Marvin was 2-time champ of the MX2 class, the 250 division. Hard to believe KTM once had Musquin, Herlings, and Ken Roxon all part of that 250 team.
Okay, yeah.
That's some serious talent KTM has brought through the ranks.
Well, look at this race. Look at the podium. There's only orange.
That's right, with Baggett in 3rd. Hey, Georgia's got Roger DeCoster. Let's see his take on this.
Yes, we have KTM 1, 2, and 3 right now. But for KTM, the decision to bring Herlings over at this critical time in the championship, do you think it's helping Marvin, or do you think it's kind of doing the opposite right now?
Right now it's hurting us because, you know, he is leading. And I don't know if Marvin can beat him, you know, but Jeffrey definitely wants to do good and wants to win this race. He's not here just to ride around, and but the gap is big, you know. I mean, Tomac could just ride around the second moto and still collecting our points for the championship. So I think in the championship is pretty much over unless Eli would have a problem with like a mechanical problem and so. But you know, nobody wishes that on anybody.
We'll let you get back to watching the race. Thank you, Roger DeCosta. It is a tough situation having, you know, Herlings in this race. It's not like they are great friends. They've been teammates throughout the years back in Europe. But I don't know if there is going to be any advantage to this.
I think Roger himself was a little bit nervous trying to figure out how this is all going to play out. Musquin had it down to 1.8 seconds, but now it's back to 2.3. A couple of bad lines there, maybe some mistakes, or maybe Herlings got the word that Marvin's coming.
Yeah, could be a bit of both, but how about that last lap from, the previous lap from Marvin at 2:07. So, fastest lap of the race. He's been flying.
It's going to be interesting. Second half of the Moto, 15 minutes down, 15 minutes to go. In 15 minutes, you can call Geico and save 15% on your car, boat, motorcycle insurance. But you've got to stay with us here. You can make the phone call if you want, but keep watching the screen because this battle between Musquin and Herlings is going to be interesting. Musquin was closing in, like we said. Herlings just stretching it out a bit. 2.1 seconds is the gap. Marvin is on the gas. He has to win this Moto. If it ends like this, I believe he would prevent Tomac from wrapping up the title by 1 point. But as Roger DeCoster said, that would still mean that Tomac has a huge points lead going into the final Moto of the year. Tomac would rather wrap it up now. I'm sure Musquin will be happy to prevent that, but he still needs every point he can get. Not going to be happy about sitting back here in second. He's got to try to get Herlings. So Jeffrey Herlings so far has answered every challenge they've thrown at him. Fastest in both practice sessions, leading the first Moto. Marvin Musquin's got to try to get him. This is going to be a great end to the Moto here in Indiana. Marvin Musquin trying to dig for it and stay the champ. Jeffrey Herlings coming over from the World Grand Prix Championship in Europe a week early. Going to race at the Grand Prix of the United States next week in Jacksonville, Florida at WW Ranch. But while he was here, he decided, why not go out to Indiana and race? Because he had a DNF at the previous Moto of his championship. He's so far behind. Ooh. He knows his championship hopes there are pretty much over, so why not go and take a risk and race today? But Marvin Musquin's got him in his sights. Marvin has been digging to close the gap, and here he comes.
He is coming. Marvin is... We're going to test their friendship in this battle.
Yes.
You can tell Marvin wants it. Jeremy doesn't... Herlings doesn't want to give it up at all.
Oh, and their teammates, yes, they are riding out of the Red Bull KTM truck together today. And you have to wonder how they're going to play this, being teammates. Yes, the championship is somewhat in the balance, but as Roger DeCoster mentioned, the gap is so big, these 3 points might not make all the difference. But Musquin, he wants every point he can get. He's trying to get Herlings.
Oh, he is trying. And Herlings is pushing just equally as hard. Great to watch.
Whoa, Marvin.
Two riders that have won multiple world championships in the 250 class. 2 riders that have had success in the 450 class. Herlings looking for his first Premier Class World Championship, and actually Marvin, the same thing.
Oh, Marvin trying to get him around the outside now, coming into this corner. Look at the fans, they're going crazy. This is the battle everybody wanted to see. How would Herlings stack up? Quite well so far, but Marvin's trying to make it tough on him.
Yeah, Marvin is going for it. And they've continuously just keep putting a gap on the rest of the field. Baggett still running some good lap times, but no one able to keep up with these guys' pace. They're hovering around the 2:09 range, which is almost 2 seconds quicker than the rest of the field. And oh, Marvin stalled it. You see him push the start button there while he was still sort of rolling. That's the one of the luxuries KTM have, is that electric start.
Little relief there. It was a small mistake from Herlings, but a much bigger one from Musquin. So Herlings has a little bit of the gap to work with right now. Musquin tries to go back. Oh, how did he make it through that corner? 1 foot basically through that thing.
A little bit of luck was involved as well. When it was going bad, it couldn't have gone any better.
Man, there is no doubt that he is pushing the pace right now. Desperate to get this moto win. He did see Tomac crash earlier. Probably has no idea what position Tomac is in. But he's got to think maybe his title hopes are still alive. Tomac is in 5th.
He's probably telling himself Tomac couldn't get the bike started.
Yeah,
Got to go and get every point.
Gap right now sits at 1.6 seconds. Marvin was 3.5 seconds down at one point. Was able to close back in.
Yeah, Marvin is riding well, but he's also, we've talked about in the past, we've said, you know, Marvin is almost too technical, too smooth, and that may hurt that little raw speed. Well, since Ryan Dungey's retired and he's basically had to take that lead role, that was one of the things that we said he needed to maybe work on. And it's always hard trying to critique a world champion, but it's always a little kick in the armor somewhere. And Marvin's learned how to ride out of his comfort zone, and I think that's the difference why he's been able to kind of find that next gear, that next level, and pick up the pace and go after someone like Herlings, who's shown incredible pace all day long.
Yeah, that has been a difference to Marvin for sure. You see mistakes and hanging out of the edge this season.
You never used to.
No, absolutely. And he's got to do it because Herlings has got it to 1.8 seconds now. So Marvin's got to try to reset as they're deep in the lap traffic. 8 minutes and 2 laps to go. Baggett 3rd, Seely 4th, Tomac 5th. Tomac not really closing on Seely. And he's got 10 seconds to make up on him. So I don't know if Tomac's going to be able to make up any more points. This is if the moto ends right now. Musquin and Baggett cling to the hopes. They would still be able to prevent Tomac from wrapping it at the end of this first moto.
Yeah, dealing with some lap traffic. Saw Herlings trying to duck the roost there. And as they go deeper and deeper into traffic, they're going to start hitting riders that are battling for points, that are having their own personal battle. It's going to make things a little bit tougher for them.
Well, I think it did not work out in Musquin's favor. It's now 2.5 seconds. I think that tunnel jump right over there made a big difference. Here's your motorsport.com whole shot replay. Eli Tomac has been waiting all year for a whole shot, and he finally gets one.
Yeah, you got the whole shot. Not Tomac's specialty is the start. So, like you said, 23 races into it, finally gets a good start. Then uncharacteristically gets passed by a couple guys, and then after trying to go up the Herlings, goes down into that right-hander.
So Herlings starting to pull back away, the rider out of Holland. So that was a real challenge for Musquin for a while, but I'm not sure what happened to Marvin. But now it is 3 seconds, so Herlings has pulled away. Can he win the first moto he's ever raced here in Lucas Oil Pro Motocross? Sure looks good right now as he's deep into the thick of lap traffic, but stretching it back out. Baggett is all alone in 3rd, 18 seconds behind. Seely 4th, Tomac 5th, Webb 6th. Pike, Loss, Barsha, Craig round out the top 10, and Bogle, who won our last races, buried back in 11th. We go back to this battle. Pike was a furious fight earlier, but Pike is now all alone in 7th. about 5 seconds behind Webb. And then behind him would be Bloss. A couple of bike lengths back. You'll see Bloss. Well, he was a couple bike lengths back, but we have lost Bloss. there he is. And then Barsha comes through next. So Barsha had gone through these guys. He's trying to get Pike. Bloss has gotten him back. And Craig is right behind him here as well. And there is Bogle in 11th. And by the way, this is the last race ever for that team, RCH Yoshimura Suzuki. It's been a great run. Kerry Hart and Ricky Carmichael were the co-owners of that squad that won the championship here last year, but could not secure sponsorship, so they're not back next year.
First and only time that a private team has won the Premier Class championship. So definitely something they can hold their hat on and say, hey, you know, we did something that no one else could do. It's unfortunate for the sport, for the people involved. But we often see these things happen over years, and a lot of times maybe a new team comes or some other team will expand, and you'll find a lot of the technicians and even the riders will find a home somewhere.
Yeah, that's part of the reason they actually decided to make it official and public early. Did it about a month ago at Washougal, I believe, because they wanted the team members to be able to have a chance to go out there and try to get jobs for next year with other teams instead of trying to hold on to the bitter end and make it December, and then there really wouldn't be any openings left. And the same thing, by the way, for their riders. And Bogle has made the best case you could possibly make to get a deal with another team next year by winning last week in Budds Creek. Not quite as good this time. Didn't get the start. Didn't see much of him early in the moto. He's back in 11th. Dean Wilson 12th. Norin Nicoletti and Matt Michalia, the other RCH Yoshimura Suzuki rider, is 15th. Bogle trying to get Barsha here in the late stages of this first moto.
Yeah, it just shows you what sort of a difference a start can make. Last week, 2 great starts from Bogle. Came around the first turn, basically in the top 3 both motos. And that's where he finished both motos, was top 3. Not quite the start this week. And sometimes what you see with some of the riders, if they don't get the start, they're kind of in the pack, they don't get that rhythm going early enough, and they never really find their true pace. We used to say you kind of get stuck in someone else's pace. Yeah. You know, it's like going cycling or running. If someone's a little bit stronger or fitter than you, they tend to elevate your game. But if they're a little bit slower, it's almost like you tend to go slower.
Back to Eli Tomac, who, if it ends like this, will just barely not be able to clinch the title at the end of this moto. Credit to the guy for going for it. He didn't want to just sit there behind Herlings. He wanted to challenge him and try to win the race. That's the noble way of doing it. But that's why they have the phrase, discretion is the better part of valor. All he had to do to wrap the title in this first moto was finish in front of Musquin and Baggett. He was ahead of them at the time. He went down, and now he's just clinging to it. 5th place in the race. It will probably now go down to Moto 2. But at that point, he basically just needs to finish the moto, no matter what Musquin or Baggett do.
Yeah, the only way he wouldn't win, let's just say, basically it was a DNF.
Yeah, and one of those guys still has to win, which it's no guarantee when Herlings out here.
I mark my words, Roger DaCosta will be marching down that tower to the side of the track, and he will be putting some signal out that basically says, Herlings, my guy needs to get around you for the title. I'm telling you, one way or another, it'll happen.
Okay, all right, you heard it here first from Langston. All right, downhill comes Tomac. Man, you'd think that was a scary moment or what when that motorcycle was down on the ground. He had to be a little nervous at that point, hoping that thing was okay.
Yeah, you never want to hit the ground, especially on a day like today when you've got so much to work for. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it looks to me like I think the clutch lever might be a little bit bent too, because it looks like he can't even barely get to it.
Well, like a lot of times, working on the whole time, kept hammering on that thing.
A lot of times you'll see riders will have like a finger. Well, a lot of riders nowadays use one finger. Myself, I use 2, a little more old school. But he's battling to get to the clutch lever, so he's not using it. You see there, his hands are on the handlebars completely, and then he'll use a little bit of clutch and then back on the handlebar. And I think it looks like if you look at the clutch, even though he's been banging it up, it's pretty far out there. Like it looks like it's got bent away from him.
I see.
So if you can't really use your clutch to your advantage, that's going to hamper, your speed and your lap times. Because he sure was on fire in the beginning there when he went after Herlings. He wanted to go and win this thing in style. He crashed in style.
He did crash his style, yeah. So you're pretty sure Tomac's technique would be to keep a finger on the clutch at all times normally. He's definitely not in this moto. He's got the full hand of the bar.
Yeah, it's like the clutch is so far out there that he's just using it when he really has to. You see there?
Right, so maybe into a corner to prevent stalling and grab it, but yeah, he can't slip
usually
it.
There you got your fingers and fingers, and look at it. He's like every now and then just puts his fingers out. He can barely get to that lever.
Yeah, he's not been able to do anything with Seely. They're basically matching each other. So Seely's up ahead in fourth. That'd be 2 more points. And believe it or not, those 2 points would make all the difference. If he could get Seely, he would wrap up the title right now. But he has not been able to close in on him. Oh, hold on to it, Eli. Almost crashed in that corner. Webb, the good news for Tomac is 10 seconds behind him in 6th. And it's Pike, Bloss, Craig, Barsha, top 10. So Craig has gotten back by Barsha. Ooh, so a tough moto here for Eli on this monster Kawasaki. And the championship watch is going to continue, barring a disaster for someone else late in this moto. It is going to go down to the last moto of the year. It's been a crazy season, and it just keeps delivering. And doesn't get much crazier than bringing in a total wild card. Jeffrey Herlings, a last-minute decision. I talked to him last night. He only flew to the United States on Tuesday night, so he only got to ride in Florida at Alden Baker's place on Wednesday. And Wednesday was a travel day. Marvin Musquin and Zach Osborne were both flying up here, so he rode by himself. So he didn't get a chance to ride with the normal guys. And then he had to come here on Tuesday or Thursday to ride press day himself. Only got to ride 20 minutes then. So very little time on this motorcycle. And although it's going to look the same as the bike he rides in the Grand Prix circuit, there are completely different rules here. So it's not the same bike, not by a long shot. It's a lot different.
It's not the same bike, but at the same time, I really think someone like Herlings, who's got a ton of talent, you adjust very quickly. You know, he said, oh, the motor's a little different, the pipe, because of the fuel, but it's just that the fuel's different there to here, so they set the bike up differently, but the outcome is not a big difference, I guess the best way to put it. So Herlings, this guy's got talent for days. Give him a couple laps on it, he'll be fine. As long as it handles, and I'm sure he's got all the suspension and stuff that he normally is used to. Georgia, can you add on that?
Yeah, like you just said, it seems that the bike issue isn't kind of a big deal to him. He said, yeah, it's different, but he could deal with it. But the main thing was the difference in schedule, the difference in just everything to do with the race. He's only here for 1 day racing. He didn't get much practice on the track, so he's got to learn the tracks quicker. But he said he really does love the track here. He said he loves the American tracks. They're completely different to the GP tracks. And so just the schedule was the main thing for him to get used to.
And I gave him credit yesterday. He said, look, the bike's different, but that's not going to be the difference between me winning or losing. So he took one of the excuses he could have had and threw it right out the window. And I don't think he's really here to do anything but just have fun. He's always wanted to race one of these, and he's got his opportunity right now. The win is just going to be icing on the cake. He just wanted to see what it would be like.
Yeah, most normal people, when they come to America and want to have fun, they go to Disneyland. This guy goes and lines up at a race. So, but that's the kind of guy he is. He's a competitor. He reminds me a little bit of he's like the European version of Cooper Webb. You know, fiery, rides with a little chip on his shoulder. Some people have said, you know, Herlings is a little arrogant, or he's, you know, a little too cocky at times. I've met him a few times. I just think he's a very determined racer. I think he's actually a really nice, down-to-earth guy as well. And he loves to win, man. I tell you what, you know, most champions, they do like to win, but that's all he cares about. So when you said he's here to have fun, guess what? The only way he's going to have fun is if he wins today. If he doesn't win, he's going to say it was a good experience. But I did not exactly have fun. White flag, last lap.
Could be the best experience right now as he's going out on what would essentially be a victory lap here with 5 seconds on Musquin with a lap to go. So Jeffrey Herlings going to live up to the hype. A lot of people are excited about Monday, Tuesday when the word started to get out that he might race this thing, and he has delivered.
Believe the hype.
Yeah, there you go.
That's one you've got to believe in, is this guy.
Now, one other thing he'll have to deal with is there's only a 1 hour break between motos here, which is a lot shorter than the turnaround in the GPs. And some teams this morning I were talking to said, well, we wonder how he's going to adapt to that. A lot less time to recover for the motos. But probably what's helped here, he hasn't really had to exert himself too much here in these last couple of minutes. Once Musquin lost his wheel, and by losing his wheel means
lost the
yeah, the wheels are still on the bike. Yeah, once Musquin wasn't putting the heat on, probably hasn't had to go absolutely all out here.
The other thing that is going to help him too is one thing that a lot of European riders definitely struggle with when they come to the Nationals is the heat. this has got to be the coolest day. I want to say cool. You gotta remember, we're in Indiana. It's usually hot and humid this time of year. It's August. But it is nice out there. I mean, it's like mid-70s, low humidity, and it's perfect for him. I hate to burst your bubble, Jeffrey, but next weekend in Jacksonville, don't expect the same. We all know how Florida is in August. Those guys are going to be in for a bit of a rude awakening because it's going to be brutal down there. But, yeah, between the temperature and let's not forget, these guys are in great shape. And then GPs, they actually do a lot of more riding on the weekend. You know, on Saturday they got practice, another big practice. Practices are longer than here. Then they have a qualifying race. Then they have Sunday morning warm-up. So they do almost twice as much track, you know, or riding on a weekend. So I'm not really concerned about fitness. I think if it was hot, maybe you could say the heat might affect him, you know, heat exhaustion, or if you're not used to it, it hits you, you know, no matter how fit you are, but not today.
No doubt about it. Yeah, he'll be racing WW Motocross Park. That's the MXGP of the USA next weekend. Tomac will be there with, and Barsha to challenge him from the American side in the MXGP class. Jeffrey Herlings does it. He wins his first ever moto in Lucas Oil Pro Motocross and does it in style. Fastest in both practices and leads most of the laps in this first moto. He briefly had a challenge from this man, Eli Tomac, who went for it and paid the price. He crashed. He's going to end up finishing this moto in 5th. Musquin and Baggett, his title rivals, are going to get the drop on him and finish 2nd and 3rd in this moto. And with Cole Seeley 4th, that is going to tip the balance. Tomac will not be able to clinch the championship here at the end of Moto 1. It's going to go down to the last race of the season. Probably going to be a few extra nerves with a 24-point lead that he would hold. It's not a complete crisis situation, but probably not exactly the way Eli wanted it to go. Let's send it to Georgia. She's already got our winner.
Jeffrey Herlings, first ever professional race, Jeffrey, in the United States, and you took the win. You battled up front, but you took the win, ran away with it. Now that you've done it, what's your thoughts on all the talk that's between the European and the American riders? How do you feel?
I mean, you know, I had the balls to come out here and come to the American-owned soil, so not many did that in Europe, and obviously I had a chance to do that, but no, I'm super happy, you know, first moto win, so hope to have a good second moto and finish off a good weekend, and very happy to be here.
Was there any point where you thought that you needed to help out Musquin as a team member because you know he's going for the championship?
You know, I didn't read the pit board. Actually, I was just focused on my own race. You know, the track was very demanding and fast, so I just had to focus on myself. You know, at one point I got some heavy stomach pains, but I still managed to finish off in a win.
Congratulations, Jeffrey Herlings, taking the win.
Well, if you don't read the pit board, it doesn't matter what they tell you. Jeffrey Herlings has come, he has seen, and he has conquered the first moto here in Indiana. Their second place finisher.
Wow, what a first moto, and there's still one more to come, but Marvin Musquin taking second place in that moto. First off, talk to me about how weird it is having Jeremy back as a teammate, but just for one race when the championship's so important.
Well, it's good, you know, it was really last minute for him, so it's good to have him here. You know, I battled really hard with him in that first moto, and I'm happy because he was a lot quicker than me in practice, and we got better in the moto. So, yeah, behind me, it was not even close, so it's good to see that, you know, the speed was there, and I know I got second, and you got a couple points, you know, out of the way on the championship for me, but you know, that's part of racing, you know, and you know, we have a second moto, and I don't even know where we are in the points. We just give our best and see how it goes, you know. I just want to finish the championship on a good note and be happy with the season we've done, and go in the future.
It's 24 points. You and Blake are tied in second place going into the last moto. That's a lot of nerves. How are you feeling?
Yeah. I don't even think about it, you know, especially after last weekend, you know, after that second moto where I got 4th place. You know, it was a bummer. So just today, I don't even think about the championship. I just, you know, try to win the race, and it's been fun so far. A good first moto.
Well, congratulations. Second place, Marvin Musquin.